She barged in ready to scream about some HOA violation, but the moment her eyes locked on the man sitting in my office, her face went white, her jaw dropped, and her whole world started crumbling. She didn't know that man was the governor of the state, and that her entire HOA was about to come crashing down. Subscribe for more insane real-life drama stories you won't believe are true, because this one will make you rethink everything about neighborhood power trips. It all started on a quiet Tuesday morning at my lake cabin, a place I'd bought specifically to escape from the chaos of the city, the noise of politics, and the constant meddling of self-appointed neighborhood rulers, like our HOA president, Karen Davenport, a woman whose entire personality revolved around clipboards, anonymous complaint letters, and stopping joggers to lecture them about trash can placement. I had barely moved into my cabin 2 months ago when she started her campaign of introductions, which were really thinly disguised interrogations about my business, my visitors, and why I didn't attend the HOA's mandatory monthly meetings, which, by the way, were illegal because my property technically wasn't even under their jurisdiction, something I had pointed out twice, both times met with her fake sweet smile and a "we'll see about that." But on this particular morning, the sun was reflecting off the lake in perfect silver streaks, I had a fresh cup of coffee steaming on my desk, and I was mid-conversation with a very important guest, the governor himself, a man I had known since college who was now visiting to discuss a charity project we were co-launching for veterans, when the cabin door practically exploded open without a knock, the wood frame vibrating from the force, and there she was, HOA Karen in her signature neon windbreaker, oversized sunglasses perched on her forehead like a crown, and an expression that screamed, "I am here to ruin your day." She launched straight into a tirade about how community bylaws prohibited commercial operations from being run out of a residential lake property, and that she had photographic evidence which, knowing her, probably meant she'd been hiding in the bushes with her phone again. But halfway through her rant her voice stuttered, cracked, and then stopped altogether, because she finally noticed the tall man in the tailored navy suit sitting across from me, calmly sipping his coffee, the state seal glinting on the lapel pin of his jacket. Her mouth fell open, her clipboard slowly drooped to her side, and she let out a weak, almost childlike, "Governor," and oh, the way he turned in his chair, gave her the kind of slow, deliberate look that only a man who runs the state can give, and said, "Karen Davenport, is it? I've heard quite a bit about you." It was like watching a balloon deflate in real time. You could practically hear her HOA authority evaporating in the air. What followed was the most awkward 30 seconds of silence I have ever experienced, broken only by the sound of a loon calling out on the lake, and then the governor leaned forward, steepling his fingers, and said, "I'm actually here to talk about certain unlawful HOA activities in this county, perhaps you can help." Her face went pale, then flushed crimson, and she started stammering excuses, about how she was just a volunteer, how other board members handled enforcement, how community harmony was their goal, but the governor wasn't buying it. He pulled out a folder from his leather briefcase and, with a slow, methodical movement, slid several documents across my desk, official complaints, affidavits, and even a couple of cease and desist letters from attorneys representing homeowners she had harassed. As he spoke, revealing that the state had been investigating her HOA for months over allegations of extortion, misuse of funds, and even selective enforcement targeting specific families, I watched Karen's hands tremble so badly she dropped her clipboard, papers scattering across my cabin floor like fallen leaves. The twist: one of those complaints was mine, filed after she'd threatened to fine me for putting a small wooden sign at the end of my dock honoring my late father, claiming it was unsightly. The governor turned to me, asked if I'd be willing to testify at the upcoming hearing, and before I could even answer, Karen blurted out that this was all a misunderstanding and that we could work it out internally. But the governor wasn't here for negotiations, he was here to deliver a subpoena, which he placed gently but firmly on top of her clipboard. She grabbed it like it was radioactive, muttered something incoherent, and backed toward the door. You'd think the story would end there, but no. 2 days later, news crews were parked outside the HOA office, the treasurer had resigned, and Karen was caught on camera sneaking boxes of files into her car at midnight. Turns out those files contained falsified invoices and personal checks from HOA funds to a consulting company, registered under her cousin's name. Within a week, the state froze the HOA's accounts, the board was dissolved, and Karen herself was facing multiple charges. The kicker: at the governor's request, my property and a dozen others were officially declared outside HOA jurisdiction forever, and that little sign on my dock. The local paper ran a full photo of it under the headline, "Freedom at the Lake." As for Karen, the last I heard, she was trying to sell her house quietly, but no one wanted to buy it, because in our small lake community, we never forget the day the self-appointed queen of rules stormed into the wrong office and found herself face to face with the one man who could dismantle her empire in a single afternoon.